All right, I am gonna start recording. Guys, we're so lucky. We've got Jeff Hill tonight. Like, Chris, thank you for hooking this up. Chris is actually the one who reached out to Jeff to get this call going tonight. And I feel like it's such an awesome time to have you because, like, it's week before Christmas. We just had 80 Day Obsession launch. Like, things are going gangbusters. And now you're here to, like, pump us all up.
I hope so. I think I'm just going to turn the time over to Ryan and let you look at Ryan. And then
I look at him all day. We're good.
Okay.
All right, guys. So most of you know who Jeff is. For those of you who don't, he is the Senior Vice President of Global Sales. Is that your title?
No, it's actually co-divisional president. So Michael and I are co-division presidents of the Beachbody. He's over the marketing side, and I'm over the global sales side. So we're division presidents of the network, and we both report to Carl.
Okay, gotcha. Well, welcome to our call.
Yes. Was that a passing of the torch or
passing? I'm handing it. Why would I keep talking if you're right here?
I don't know, but all I know is I just want to hear Chris Reed say something. I just don't know if this is just like a what do they call it? The fake person, when you make it someone of your body, what's the show? The Avatar. It's the Avatar, you know.
Okay, so since she said you're here to pump us up, I want you to do the whole call in the accent from the Pump You Up guys from Saturday Night Live. So the whole call in that accent. How's that?
Okay, let's just move on past you. Okay?
Careful what you ask for.
Well, listen, then let's jump in. So just, first off, thank you for the opportunity to jump on. Everybody has choices, and this is a crazy busy time of year, and I totally appreciate that. And I just think, we were picking up kids I wasn't. My wife was picking up one of my daughters from the airport who flew in from Phoenix and, all that kind of stuff. And people are, doing their holiday shopping and all of those kinds of things. And so I truly respect the fact that you do have choices and appreciate that you're willing to take just a few minutes to get on with, to let me share maybe just a few thoughts. And I said to Chris, Chris, what would you like me to talk about? And he said, well, 3 things. He said, tell people how great I am, 1. And no, he just said, talk a little bit about, 1, the direction of the company, 2, a little bit about 80 Day Obsession, and anything you want to talk about, for a minute. And that's always a dangerous one to end with. But let me start with, direction of the company. So, here we are. It's the 18th of December. As you just pointed out, we've launched 80 Day Obsession, this great product. It's no secret to anyone that it's been, it's certainly been a challenging year. There's been lots of headwinds and all that kind of stuff. And I'll tell you like that right now that, for me personally, like all of you, it's been a year where I've been tested. It's a year where I've been tired. It's a year when there's been times where man, I'll get emotional about this. There's been times where I've had to dig really, really deep, and hey, Cody, and ask myself, why, what am I about? Who am I? What do I believe in? What do I represent? What's the big picture of this thing? Because it's so easy to get caught up and to get taken down into the weeds of things as you get challenged and you get tried and you get pushed. And I think, that is the time when that you really have to live and draw on your long view and your vision of what you can be. And I'll position kind of the direction of the company and where, just my sense of where we are and where we're going and why I'm here. And it's because I've been in this industry for a long time. Let me just give you a little bit of backstory on Jeff Hill, okay? That may or may not be interesting to you. And if you're not interested, act interested, okay? Thank you very much, Kim. So kid grew up in Canada. We grew up on a farm, no money per se, but we didn't know it, learned how to work. You played on the high school football team. You played on the high school basketball team. You were in the band at halftime. You did all of those kinds of things, and you just made your own fun, and you did those kinds of things. Went to school down here in the States, married my sweetheart, ran off to law school of all things, and I practiced law for about 8 years, and then I saw the light. I wanted to do two things when I grew up. One was to be an attorney, and one was to do what Stephen Covey did: leadership development and change. And as it happens, just so happened, Covey Leadership Center, Stephen Covey's organization, many of you may not know even who he is now. He's since died, but he wrote a best-selling business book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And there's been offshoots on that. And it's, anytime you go into a personal development, self-help section, 7 Habits will be there. And for about 5 years, I worked with that company and absolutely left the practice of law, and I went and worked with that company. They turned out to be one of our clients, of all crazy things, when I practiced law. And so, maybe a little divine intervention there. I like to think, but absolutely loved it. And I learned a lot about in the practice of law about business. And I learned a lot about people and about relationships and about principles and about I think principle-centered leadership and how those apply to your personal life and how they apply also to building a business and some of those things that have to be at play. And so those are really, really close to my heart. And then our company merged with another company. And after about 5 years, or after a bit, I was looking at this thing and I swore something happened that I swore I would never do in my entire life. And that was, grew up in Canada where it was windy all the time. Okay, always windy, hated the wind. We drove to this little place coming down from Canada to Utah where I went to school, in Idaho, where it was always windy. And of all things, I got a phone call from a headhunter, an executive recruiter from Texas, okay? The crazies in Texas, right? That called me and said, would you be interested in a senior vice president of sales role for a network marketing company in Idaho Falls? And you need to know that in Utah, where we live, I live in Provo, Utah still now, in this valley, it is like the breeding ground for network marketing companies. Okay, and I'll even say kind of the incestuous breeding ground for network marketing companies from the perspective of there are so many. There's Nu Skin here, there's USANA here, there was Mona V, there's Nature Sunshine, there's you can go up and down this freeway and there's just, company after company. And I swore that I would never become part of a network marketing company. I swore that I would never move to Idaho Falls, Idaho. Well, long story short, as we really considered it as a family, we felt like it was the right thing to do. And lo and behold, we moved to Idaho Falls and became part of a network marketing company that I really felt was a good company, very product-centered company, and learned a lot and fell in love with what people can achieve and what people can obtain and who they can become if you're part of a company that does things the right way. And so I was there for 8 years, grew the company. When I got there, we were about $300 million, and we were at this flat spot. In fact, just as I got there, the company was declining and was really struggling, and they're the equivalent of their coaches were kind of put their feet up and weren't doing much, and we had to change some things. But over the next several years, and they were a couple of the hardest years of my life, we changed things, and this company started to grow, and we started to get traction, and we moved this company back from a $300 million company up to an $800 million company when I made another professional decision to leave, and when I was recruited to another company. Well, without going through every move I've made in my life, here's what I can tell you is that I may not be the brightest bulb on the tree or the sharpest, I use bulb on the tree because it's the holiday season, or the sharpest knife there you go. Thank you, Kat, there you go, I see your tree. Or the sharpest knife in the drawer. But I've also come to understand and understand what is core to successful businesses and what's not, and what creates sustainability. And the other piece you need to know is I, not unlike you, also have choices, okay? I hang my hat on what I do. I have a family. Many of you may know this. I have a family of 7 children, as we like to say. You've heard this before, probably. They're all boys except 6 girls. Okay, which means we have 1 boy. We have 6. We have 6 girls. So we have a good-sized family that I I have the responsibility of providing for and looking out for and providing a future for and trying to make their life just a little bit better than the life that I had. And as a dad, and I take that responsibility very, very seriously. And so my professional life also is hinged to that. And I've also found in my life that when I integrate who I am with what I do, and the things that I value, and the better that those things align in business, the more peace I have, the more power I have, the more confidence I have, and the greater the contribution that I have, and also the fact that I can go to my kids and my kids say, "What does your dad do? What does your husband do?" And they can say to me, they can tell their friends, he works for a company called Beachbody, and this is what they do. And they can look at people and they can, with great pride, and say, this is who my dad works for. Now, I'm the first to admit that we are so far from perfect. I'm the first to admit that we've got so far to get really good, and there's things that we've got to improve upon. But I want you to know that with my experience, and you're saying, yeah, Jeff, you're supposed to drink the Kool-Aid, okay, kind of a thing. But I will tell you that at the same time, I'm also a dad. I'm also a husband. I'm also someone that wants to provide a great future for my family. I'm also someone that is going to bet on my ability and the people that I work with and the people that I respect, our ability to pull things through tough times and to pull things through when the headwinds are there, our ability to figure out what solutions are. And I was reading this book called, I'm always a kind of a quote guy. I love pulling these things out, but a book called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. Carl was reading it and suggested that I read it. And there's a lot of great quotes in there, but one of the quotes is that you have to look for angles in life, not angels, all the time. And I am a believer that angels come into our life, and I really do. I believe there's heavenly angels, and I also know that angels take the form of people, in our lives. But I also know that typically that what you have to do is you have to find the angles in business. You have to find the angles in life. That you have to create those things if you're going to be successful, and if you're going to have staying power, and if you're going to bring solutions, and you're going to weather the challenging times in your business. So all of that quick backstory to bring us to December 18th, 2017, and the direction of the business. And I look at where we are right now, and although I think we've got lots of work to do, I want you to know that I think with the advent of several things that we have pointed the ship in a great direction. 80-Day Obsession is a great program. It's not for everybody out there. It's going to be a tough program. It's going to tax people. But here's some things that you need to listen to, and I'm pointing my finger at Chris Reed here because he's part of our coach advisory board, and I'm pointing it to him in a good way. Is that they've given us some real insight and some good feedback and nudges along the way with what we do as a business. But 80-Day Obsession, it's an 80-day program. It's a bit longer. People learning the discipline of working out, learning the discipline of getting healthy. Not just as great as 21-Day Fix was. Okay, the learning from that was, and nobody would trade it because it drove so many people's business and created so much opportunity for people. One of the things we also learned was that it wasn't necessarily driving the long-term habits of creating discipline in people's lives. And so as we looked at 80-Day Obsession, here's an 80-day program, longer workouts. The other piece that we realized is the packs, and I talk about these all the time on our National Wake Up Call and other calls. But the bundles that are there of packs, where there's accessory packs, there's mega packs, there's the combo packs. And Chris will say, yeah, but Jeff, you've also got to figure out a way how someone on Beachbody On Demand who wants to renew can also get a pack at a cheaper price and having to cancel and come back. So I know that, and it's there. But the point is that there are solutions, and there are things that we're listening to and figuring out. You've heard a little bit about 2B mindset. This is something that the CAB really influences. We're looking at this new 2B mindset, this new mindset about how to eat, non-fitness related program, but to create that and put that on a separate channel. And what that does is it creates financial opportunity, creates separate volume. It creates you as coaches another opportunity to speak to people who may not be totally into fitness right now, may never be, but it creates this opportunity for them to generate greater health in their lives. And who knows, maybe fitness will become a follow-on for them. The other piece that we're course correcting on, I think all of these just create this great runway, is early access on BOD. One of the things that we learned from BOD, Beachbody On Demand, this last year is, as we looked at that, we thought, okay, this is going to be a great program from the standpoint of ease of entry for coaches, and it certainly was. But what happened is we started to sell it. Coaches started to sell it. They focused on the platform as opposed to the program, and they were selling this bundle of everything that had so much value to it, versus selling a program and getting people into this program and really giving them and helping them get the results that they wanted, that created the story, that created this community where people really saw this as something that was really at the core of the business. And that's helping people get results, helping people achieve to live better and to create more fitness in their lives. And that's really what we were about. And as it became more about this platform of a la carte, pick a little bit of everything, which is of tremendous value, we learned that we've got to go back and we've got to focus more on the program. We've got to go back and we've got to create more income earning opportunities for our coaches so that the income story is there. We're smart enough to know that this isn't just about a mission of helping people get fit. It's also a coach-based business that is about people who want to create some financial stability and possibly wealth in their lives so they can contribute to their families and provide not only what I like to call not only the necessities of life, but also provide some of the niceties, of life as they continue to grow to grow this business and help people along the way. And so as I look at where we are as a company today, and as we end this year, I think that we are so well positioned to take 2018 on in a real powerful way. And then the question, and that's just a little bit of a peek. That's not even a peek behind the curtain, because that's in front of the curtain now. All of those things. But there are other programs that are coming down the road. There are other products that we're in the process of developing. And those are all geared to help coaches generate more, candidly, just more financial stability, hopefully more wealth, and do that in a way that's genuinely helping other people create fitness in their lives. As I look around and as I look at what we represent and how we're doing this, and as we've had the opportunity to, respond to competitors on things and to look at those, the temptation sometimes is to say, okay, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this. And there's no question that you have to learn. There's no question that you have to be paying attention. But the other thing is you have to have the discipline to recognize what you do well and to not compromise on the things that matter most in your business. And they're going to be shortcuts and represent compromise and not create results in the long term. And that's not always for everybody. Okay. And I get that. And, but I want you to know, let me give you a little example on this. And I had a conversation with Carl when another company was coming on the front, and some of our people were taking a look at that. I said, Carl, we should consider this. And it was like, okay, let's talk about that. And we went and took a look at some of the things that they were offering and why they were offering, went back to our science guys and everything. And he just came back and he just says, Jeff, I'm not willing to compromise on these plans. I'm not willing to compromise on these pieces. And it was one of those moments for me where it was kind of like a boom, you know, it was just kind of, I had said, Carl, we should, and he's gone, you know, we're not going to. And that doesn't mean he can't be swayed. It doesn't mean we need to that we can't look at opportunities. But I think that that also suggests that what we want to represent, what we want to be known as a company that is not going to take shortcuts, that's unapologetic in the programs that we create and what we offer to people. That also means that we've got to continue to get better, and we've got to change with changing times, and we've got to improve. And I want you to know that my commitment is, our commitment is that's what we will continue to do as a company. So if I were betting money, and I am, because I'm betting my money, my career, my future on this, I would bet on us. And I've looked around. I've had the opportunity to see what other people do, look at compensation plans. And there's always different features, but as I look at who we are and what we offer, I think over the long haul, we offer something that's very, very compelling. So that's kind of number one. Number two, 80-day obsession. You guys probably already know all about it. But here would be my challenge to you, is that you don't wait. Here's what I see so often with coaches. There's the early adopters, and there's the people that are kind of, well, I'm going to see how it turns out, and then there's the late adopters that just, they never catch up. And as you look at what 80-day obsession is, I would listen to Miguel Carrasco's call. I mean, he gets a little bit energetic, a little too pumped up sometimes, but you know what? He's got some great content in what he's saying about how he organizes himself and what he has done to create an angle into the business. Not looking for angels, but he's created an angle into the business, and he's working that angle, not a shady angle, not a manipulative angle, but it's just one that has elbow grease in it, where he has contacted all of his customers, he's contacted all of his coaches, he's learned about the benefits of the mega pack and how that stacks up against the combo pack, how that stacks up against the performance pack and the other packs. And if you know those things, and if you've created your list and you've contacted your people, it just enhances your ability to start well at the beginning of the year. So don't sit back and wait. Don't sit back and kind of be the naysayer. And here's the deal. If 80-day obsession isn't someone's jam, then your responsibility as a coach is to say, it may not be this, but there's this, or there's this, or there's this, or there's this. And that's where the opportunity lies. I think the other piece that I'm hearing a little bit about, and I think that's really smart on our side, but I hope it doesn't seduce our coaches into not getting everything they can get. And what that means is that one of the things that we've done with 80-day obsession is we've created this test group with Autumn. So any new coach, any existing or new coach that buys an accessory bundle or buys a challenge pack can participate in this test group. It starts before 80-day obsession actually launches. But the purpose of that is to give you information on the program, and it's staggered a week beforehand, so that as you run your challenge groups, that you will be better equipped, more knowledgeable, and can provide greater value to the people in your challenge groups. I hear some coaches that are kind of going, hey, this is it. This is, just get in the test group and you're going to get everything, that you need to know. That will be your challenge group. And I'd suggest to you, man, you're missing an opportunity to provide value. Make sure that you're part of that group, but second to that, make sure that you're organizing your challenge in the test group, but make sure you're organizing your challenge groups and applying what you learn. I don't know how many of you listened to the National Wake Up Call today with Carrie Arena, but she was 2-star diamond coach, 5-star qualifying, been in the business a couple of years, already took a year for her to get started in the business. but she talked about her challenge groups, and I had not. So the way we typically set up these national wake up calls is, you know, someone will say, we want to listen to so and so, or here's somebody that would be really, really good. And we look into their business and try and find out what they're going to share is. And then we've tried to do we've been doing these new coach calls. And honestly, I didn't know Carrie, but we have them build a little bit of a script so we know what their points are and what they're going to say. And then we review it beforehand. Sandy will review it with them. And then on the Monday morning, I'll jump onto the call with them and we'll talk for a few minutes beforehand. And I've done it enough times. Typically, I kind of sort of know, you know, where to go and what things to pick up on, hopefully. But I was so impressed with her today as she was talking about the groups that she created and the words that she used. And she talked about herself not being flashy. I don't think she is flashy the way she's built. And she's a regular, you know, she's one of those ordinary, I don't want this to sound bad, but she's one of those ordinary people, like all of us. That, you know, a mom of 3, growing the business, she's got a full-time job, you know, has to do the laundry, has to do the dishes, has to run the kids to school, has to pick up after her husband, you know, all of that kind of stuff. And yet she still has this vision of just creating this sense of community, a tribe with her people, that she would use words like team. It was motivating. It was inspiring. It's where people got results. There was a sense of, you know, of belonging. And she just used all of these words that as I listened to her, and I hadn't heard them before, I was scribbling them down and I repeated them on the call, but I was just going, this is what it's about. This is really what it's all about, is creating this sense of community where people are coming together and you're sharing your journey, and you're, you know, it's being proof the products work where you're not perfect, but you've created that. And I think in some respects we've lost that. And so I think with 80-day obsession or whatever challenge group that you choose to engage in, that there is this opportunity to engage your people and to share that journey. And she talked about it. The reason that I actually picked up on these 3 R's that she shared, that was kind of is embedded some other things, but she said it was relatable, that she was very relatable because she shared her story. 2, that she was reliable. She always showed up for her people. They could count on her. And I don't think that she was creating world peace. I don't think that she was, you know, fixing all of their marital problems if they had them, or, you know, whatever else is the issue. But that she was reliable, okay, and that she recognized her people. And I just thought, man, there's 3 things that all of us can do. And if you put those 3 things into a pot, into your challenge group and stir it up, you've got the makings for a very, very powerful group that can create great results. So my challenge to you is to take advantage of what's in front of you. Sometimes people are waiting for it just to happen. The angels are going to show up. No, it has shown up. We are investing the next 30, 60, 80 days into 80-day obsession. That's where we are putting all of our effort. That's where we're putting the majority of our resources that we're talking about. And why wouldn't you as a coach then draft off of that to make your work easier, to make it more credible, in order to create success for your business? So that's the next piece. The third piece, what do I want to talk about? I don't know, Chris. But you know, honestly, you know, what I'm talking about really what I like to talk about. But to me, here's the other piece: I would just encourage you that as you build this business, that you gain great clarity on what it is you want. I think one of the great things about this time of year, if you're at all like me, which means that you're kind of demented, I guess, in a way. But if you're at all like me, okay, here's what this time of year kind of offers. It offers this time of introspection. You know, and I do a little bit of assessment, and I kind of look at myself and I go, okay, where am I? Who am I becoming? Who am I surrounding myself with? What am I reading? Who have I become? Does my resume my personal internal resume today look different on December 18th, 2017 than it did on December 18th, 2016. If you were to write it out, and that would be a great challenge for everybody on this call, is to write your resume and to put it down. I mean, literally, and just write your Beachbody resume and talk about what you've learned and who you've become, and how that has changed over this last year. But as you look at then where you're going, and you've got a sense of who you want to become, to make sure that your short-term actions then align with who you want to become in the long term. Because oftentimes, if we don't have that sense of a long view, what happens is we let the short-term details and the confusion and the setbacks and the stuff of life, what that does to us is that we start to act in the moment, thinking that that's going to drive our future versus letting the future drive our short-term actions. I love I've talked about it a number of times, but I love the book Grit by what's her name? By Angela, got it right here, by Angela Duckworth. Just because as I read that book, it is a book about success, and it's a book about determination and about passion and about how those come together, and about how people really have become successful who have a clear sense of who they are, where they're going, and they know that very, very deeply. They have a sense of determination and they have a sense of direction. And then what they do is they apply effort against that. Okay? They apply effort against that consistently and correctly. And she points out, she goes to great measures in this book to point out that over time, it's effort that will win out, because effort applied to other effort becomes skill. And then that effort applied to that skill becomes talent. And talent applied to effort then becomes results. And the results create success. And that leads you to your goals. And she just talks about how important that is. And the great news, that I think what is the phenomenal news behind this book, is that it's within everybody's grasp. It's within everyone's wheelhouse. She talks about how talent is really the great deception in so many ways. And sometimes we hide behind the word talent, where we say, that guy's so talented, she is so talented. Because really what that is doing is it's robbing that person of the effort that they have put in to become talented and to become skilled. And typically behind that talented person, okay, is hours and hours and hours and hours of deliberate practice that has created results in their life, whether it's sports, whether it's professional, whether it's art, whether you name it. That principle applies to every line of business. So when you look at your business, when you look at where you are right now, I don't know if I can find the quote, but I've used it before, where it says something like, it always amazes me that someone will think that if they're not wealthy in 2 to 3 years, that they're not successful, but they'll stay broke for 40 years in the same job, type of a thing. I didn't say that very, articulately, but I went to an undergrad school, I got my undergraduate, then I went to law school. Okay, so another 3 years in law school, and busted my butt, went into debt. Then the learning really started once I got out. And honestly, for me, it was probably, like I said, I'm not the brightest bulb on the tree, but it took me, 5 to 6 years before you start really learning and figuring out how to get that cadence and how to really learn the skills of the trade, not the tricks of the trade. And similarly in this business, as you look at where you are, in order to become successful, in order for there really to be the right results in this business, you have to put the time in. You have to practice deliberately. And it's that deliberate practice and learning that will, over time, create results. And to me, the good news is, if you do that in a business environment where the company is doing the right things and trying to align itself with proper business practices, when those two come together, that can be very rewarding. And I think that's where we're aligned. I think that's where we as a company are aligned. Despite the setbacks, despite the headwinds, I think that's what's great about where we are. I'm this funky guy that has this belief that there's greatness in every single person. Okay. I think our responsibility, I think one of the reasons we're, whether you believe in a divine being or not, I happen to. But I think that we're put on this earth to kind of figure out who we are, okay? What our skill sets are, what our abilities are, where the greatness is within us. And that sometimes means that we've got to scrape off the rust, we've got to dig deep, we've got to figure it out, we've got to go through the refiner's fire, we've got to go to hell and back sometimes to kind of figure that stuff out. And it's not always fair. But I think that through that can refine us and not define us. And that's what our responsibility is, to kind of help ourselves, and then to help the ones we love most, and then to help people around us. And I believe that this setting that we're in, with the company that we're about, really helping other people in an unapologetic way, in a way where there's no real shortcuts to success, that is something that matters in life. The other piece I love in this book, Grit, and I thought this way before the book was written, so I'm going to say she stole it from me. I don't think she did, but anyway, I'm going to claim it. But I love the fact that this business teaches us to do hard things, okay? And that what that means is that not only do you learn to do hard things, but the people you come into contact with, your kids, if you have kids, see you learning to do hard things. The people you come into contact with see you doing hard things and overcoming. And people want to be part of that. People want to be around people that know how to do hard things and that have a vision. That's who people want to associate themselves with. And it's not just, we talk about it being transformational. I think it's not only transformational, but it's transgenerational. You are starting something. It's the butterfly effect, where you're starting something and being part of something that really is, magnificent. It never seems like you're making history in the moment. But if you could timestamp tonight, if you could timestamp that time where you are making the decision to change your life and to push forward on things, you very well could be making history right now. And your family could be looking back at you and say, December 18th, 2018 was the day that this individual, that Kim, that Kat, that Morgan, I'm just looking at names here, the Christina, the Kelsey, go around, Elizabeth, go around the room, even Chris, okay, that was the date, where they made history because of the decision they made and because of the things that they did. I'm going to end with two little things here. I'm probably over my time, Chris, and Joan, I apologize. But I still got 3 or 4 minutes. Am I okay? Okay, thanks. So I'm going to end with a quote from a book from Viktor Frankl. If you know who Viktor Frankl was, he wrote a book. Someone's giving me the thumbs up here, so I like that. So Viktor Frankl was a psychologist. He was a Jewish psychologist, lived during the 1940s. He was a Jewish individual whose family was interred in the Nazi concentration camps, and family was separated, taken from them. They lost their lives there, and where they suffered the most atrocious of all things. And I don't need to go into all those pieces, but he writes he kind of concludes the book talking about something that's the most important, and that is that the one thing that no one can take away from us is our choice, how we choose to respond, and how we react to what life gives us. And he says this. I've got both sides of this. I do. So excuse me for reading. He said, "The one thing you can't take away from me is the way I respond to what you do to me. The last of one's freedoms is to choose one's attitude in any given circumstance. We who lived in concentration camps can remember the men who walked through the through the huts, comforting others, giving away their last piece of bread. They may have been few in number, but they offer sufficient proof that everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstance, to choose one's own way. It did not really matter what we expected from life, but rather what life expected from us. We needed to stop asking about the meaning of life and instead to think of ourselves as those who were being questioned by life, daily or hourly. Our answer must consist not in talk and meditation, but in action and in right conduct. Life ultimately means taking the responsibility to find the right answers to the problems and to fulfill the tasks when it constantly sets for each individual. Here's the kicker, between stimulus and response, there's a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. In the response lies our growth and our freedom. Here's the cool thing. Every single day, you get to, I get to choose. I get to wake up and figure out and choose how I'm going to respond to the challenges that life gives to me, as sometimes as overwhelming and as Herculean as they may appear. But that's what we get. And I think this business offers us that. Almost done. Some quotes that I just like, so I'm going to share them with you. Okay? So see if any of these resonate with you. I think there's probably a story behind each one of these quotes, but maybe some nuggets that you like as you choose who you are becoming in your life. Integrity. Sometimes in life, you're prouder of what you didn't do than what you did do. Think about it. Legacy. Leave everyone who joins you just a little bit better than you found them. Story. Your word of mouth story has to be worth more. It has to be worth talking about. Let me say that again. Your word of mouth story has to be worth talking about beyond all of the bonuses and all of the rewards. So if your story is just about what you've earned and the recognition, maybe there needs to be a little bit more. Values. I love this one. Do not sponsor unpleasant and dishonest people. Okay. Humility. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. What is wrong is not making it right. Growth. What was good enough to get you where you are is not good enough to keep you there or to take you to the next level. When you're through changing, you're through. Couple more. Attitude. Anytime you're more concerned with your comfort than your calling, misery is imminent. I don't know if that makes sense to everybody. Service. Your fruit grows on other people's trees. Sick and wrong. I like this one. 60% of couples sleep closer to their smartphones than their spouse. Okay, I think that might be understated. I know my phone's right beside me there, so my wife doesn't always like that. Rewards require dirty work. I like this. In the absence of cattle, the barns are clean. That makes sense. Sometimes you just have to do the dirty work. Staying grounded. Don't compromise your core beliefs. And perspective, live rich, don't get rich. I don't know. I'd like to get rich too while I'm living rich. I think you can do both. Here's the bottom line, guys. We're about something good. I think you're part of a good company. I value who you are, what you do, and I'm grateful that I get an opportunity to rub shoulders with coaches who are making a difference in people's lives. It's a cool thing. When I get on calls like this, it's always a bit of a humbling experience for me because you get to be a bit of a voyeur, right? You know, you get to look in people's homes where you realize that, you know what, people are real. You see the kids running behind, you know, you see the husbands running around in their boxer shorts, you know, and the dirty laundry and doing the dishes, and hopefully they got their shorts on. But but it becomes very, very real who we are and the lives we're touching. And I appreciate the fact that every single day you guys pull yourself up by your bootstraps in this courageous business and reach out and help people. So I just want to say thank you. Want to wish you the very, very, very happiest of holidays. And thank you for who you are, who you're becoming, and the lives you're touching. So Joan, with that, I'm done.
You're officially passing the mic.
Yes, tossing it back to Chris or you.
Well, I mean, thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for sharing all of that with us. And I couldn't agree more. I think that, everything we're doing right now is so amazing, and my whole team is thankful for it and can feel the momentum. And just, there's just been a huge shift, I think, energy-wise, and just excitement. There's so much excitement right now about the future for this company and for what we're doing. And so very grateful for you and Chris the Cab for creating these things that are just coming up. And I think it's going to be an amazing 2018.
Going to be good. So again, thank you. So.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All righty. Have a good night. Thanks, guys.
Have an awesome night. Thank you for your time.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.